Welcome to Fire Takes podcast, where we give our takes on the most interesting stories on the internet using our financial independence point of view. My name is Tim. I am joined today by Gwen.
Hello, husband. How's it going?
Oh, it is wonderful. We are having a very exciting week here. We're packing up. We are about to head out on a cruise with a bunch of our 5 friends. So that is something I'm looking forward to. Hopefully, we might even catch some of those people for an interview. And
those people, those people.
Those people. On that topic, I did want to just talk a little bit about the kind of the state of the pod. In the last couple of pods, we've maybe leaned more towards the entertainment side versus the education. I do kind of want to keep a balance. I still want to have fire discussions that interest our listeners, but I do feel like we're entertainment first, education second.
Yep.
What's your thought?
100%.
Yeah. Getting the more the normie stories, right? People who aren't necessarily fire, but they're having money issues, and then giving our specific point of view on it. I think that's fun, and we'll continue doing that. But we will mix in some more fire content.
I feel like that the normie content is more entertaining.
Sure.
But the fire stuff that we find is more of like a conversation starter.
Yeah. And this is fun, right? This is not income for us. We're not trying to build our podcasting empire.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. But our listeners are important to us, and we want to entertain and educate and do all the things that our listeners want. So if you have feedback on this, please send it to us at firetakespod@gmail.com, or just go to firetakespod.com. You have lots of ways to contact us. We did start a Facebook group. We haven't really posted about it, so it is out there. I need to at least link it on the webpage, or you can just search for Fire Takes on Facebook, I guess, and we'll see if people start showing up there, and we can have a conversation there as well.
Find us on Facebook, people. You heard it here first.
Yeah, we'll see. As long as Facebook's around. All right. With all that said, let's get into our first story.
Let's do it.
This one is from the subreddit R Budget. Help is the single word title.
So
Hi,
descriptive.
I'm almost 30 and have ADHD and hate anything to do with numbers. I've got a full-time job and a mortgage. For years, I've been wanting to travel, but I never have any money left over to save. I live alone, no dependents or anything. Without giving too much information away, I should be saving every month given my actual expenses and salary. I just forget what I should be saving and either go shopping, go out, treat family or friends. What tips or suggestions do you have for creating to and sticking to a budget? I forget how much I spend each month. I don't really keep track of my spending, and any large or intricate budget plans are unrealistic for me to follow. Perhaps an app that allows me to log things without having to enter all sorts of personal information and have them track everything. I'll take any help. Thank you.
Well, I recommend that you find the financial independence subreddit when you hate work, and you design your entire lifestyle and personality around that for 7 years, and then you should be good on budgeting.
That is one way to do it.
It is a way to do it. Seriously, though, I suggest for those who might have trouble getting started or don't want to really think about it or face it, sit down with somebody and have them just either be there to bounce things off of or help you encourage to start out with, give you a basic framework. I believe there are ADHD coaches. There are definitely money coaches out there. There's plenty of people out there who will give you a good, solid starting point. But really, I suggest automating things for people with ADHD. That way you don't have to think about it, you don't have to stress about it, you don't have to worry about it. You get all your bills automated, especially if, like this person, you have good money coming in and you don't really have as much money going out as you have coming in. Spending's not necessarily a huge concern. Then I would have money coming in and it would move to buckets to either save for that travel that they want to do or any other big goals that they have coming up, and automate the transfers, and then guilt-free spend what's left over. So you've got all your bills budgeted out, all your credit cards and whatnot set up for auto transfer, and then whatever's left is yours to spend.
Yeah. So I really like what you said. We talk about in dealing with our ADHD body doubling, right?
Huge.
So, and you said getting a friend and sitting down, someone you can trust, someone you can talk to about this kind of stuff, which is admittedly maybe more difficult for people who aren't money nerds. But
Yeah, we have our pick of friends who
Right.
are money nerds.
But if you can get someone to sit down with you and get this stuff set up. But yeah, I also liked the automation, right? For bill paying, it's been a long time since I've thought about paying bills, right? I've got everything. It just comes out. If someone wants to do business with me and they don't have a way for me to automatically pay them, I'm not going to do business with them because it's not worth the mental load.
Correction.
Yeah.
It has been a long time since you've thought about paying your bills. It has been very recently that you thought about paying my bills.
That is true because not
Because
everything was automated.
They are not automated because I preferred not to have them automated, but I took a dose of my own medicine and they are now all automated.
Yes, we're back to full automation, which is
Then again, in my defense, my life is much busier now than when it was, and I had no problems keeping on top of things. But now I get distracted by things like vacation and whatnot, so...
yeah, that's probably fair. But yeah, so find a friend, someone that you could bounce ideas off of, talk to, and maybe you help your friend too. And then automate as much as you can. But yes, if you are making more money than what you spend on necessities, and then you just spend what was left at the end, just make saving money part of your necessities. Put it in the front end and automatically transfer money to a savings account for a purpose. Put a name on it like vacation.
Pay yourself first.
Yeah, pay yourself first. And that's really the start of saving. And for OP, if OP were to listen to this, I would also supremely encourage you to do any workplace-based 401k saving as your first payment, because that is one of the easiest ways to automate setting money aside is to just go through your workplace 401k.
Yeah, I'm really good at saving money into my 401k, but I am perhaps not so great at transferring money over to our...
Yeah, we just have to figure out where the money goes. So yeah, we are admittedly getting better. Some automated savings things that are going to our like emergency fund and car fund and stuff like that now. So we're getting better. But yes, the first few months of our marriage were pretty Wild West when it came to our checking accounts.
Such a nice way to put it. I was going to say a shit show, but...
Yeah, that's also accurate. All right. Anything else for our budgeting challenged friend?
Next story, please.
This one is from the R Fire subreddit. They ask, any other frugalers who are close to fire catch yourself sweating small sums of money?
I wondered why you picked this one.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I went on a vacation by myself this week. Very reasonably priced one, but the vacation I wanted. Took a cab home and watched the meter rose to $84. I was kicking myself that I didn't go on the shuttle as it goes close to my house. When I got home, I checked my Schwab account since I hadn't on vacay and see it's up $124,000 since January 10th. Why am I like this, sweating an $80 cab ride home? Anyone else who can't help themselves about what things cost when they were younger, that shouldn't matter now. I donated a good size amount to the LA fires and bought my family expensive-ish gifts for Christmas. But I pause when they ask me if I want a high-rise crust at Blaze Pizza because it's an extra $3. And a different kind of pizza dough shouldn't have a $3 upcharge.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Ooh.
So, yeah, I feel this.
Do you?
I mean,
Why do you feel this?
I do. I sweat the small stuff, and I sweat the small stuff potentially even to the detriment of sweating the big stuff, right? Like, because I don't know. I think something's broken in my brain.
That's called trauma, honey.
Okay. Sure. I so empathize with this story too, because I remember when I was 18 years old, the first time I rode in a cab in LA, and someone couldn't give me a ride, and I got in a cab and I watched that meter, and it climbed and climbed to $20, which to 18-year-old me was clearly a big. I was sweating in the back of that cab every time we hit a red light, and the meter kept like that. So yeah, the trauma, right? Like that is, I don't know why we are the way we are, but like that, I really resonated with the story of him watching that cab go to $84. And today, if I was in a cab and I watched a meter go up to $84, yeah, I don't think I'd like that. I think that's kind of one of the things I like about Uber is it's like, okay, this ride's going to be $30. Cool. Got it. Done. It's not watching my fare tick up by 10 cents a spot over and over and over again.
So I think that in part it's because the behaviors that got us to where we are now are so very different than the ones that we'll need to work on in the future. We are very good at saving money. That's how we got here. We have been taught our whole life or not had money our whole life. So it's been so much harder to spend because we are so used to not. And to not spend is virtuous. It is good. We get kudos and we feel good, and our brain gives off happy chemicals when we find a deal and when we save money. And I think spending money is a little bit like working out. You've got to ease into it and take it slow and get good form. And, well, maybe not good form when spending money. It doesn't really matter how you just tap.
You just tap.
Just tap.
But I think it's intentionality, right? That
Yes.
intentionality is the good form of spending in your analogy.
Yes. And so we're not used to that. It's an unfamiliar skill. It's an environment we're not necessarily that super comfortable in. Most people would just not watch the fair or just be like, yeah, this is what it's
Right.
going to cost, right?
Yeah.
This is just how the world works. And for those of us who are, what do you say, frugalers?
Frugalers. Yes.
Frugalers. For those of us who are frugalers, it's just a weird, fun way to say that. You got to practice.
Right.
And practice makes progress.
And I think one thing I'm getting better about is exchanging money for time, basically buying my time back through my money. I think I'm much looser on the purse strings when it comes to that stuff. But at the same time...
Shout out to our house cleaner. You're the
Right.
best.
Yeah, for real. But at the same time, if something is very easy for me to do and it doesn't seem like an inconvenience, I struggle to part with money over it. I mean, honestly, valet, car, parking, I'm not a big fan of it. Like, I can park my car, I can walk the 100 yards. Even like bellhops at hotels, like I can carry my bag up to it's things like that that kind of trigger me to want to avoid that spot where you might have an expense that you can avoid, right?
That's interesting.
Yeah. We haven't encountered my anxiety on that. Also, I've gotten way better at that. Like in my 20s, like if the only way to get somewhere was through a valet, we just, we're going to go find a train station and take the train there.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Yeah. So
much progress. Good job.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you.
But I think going back to this is not a unique experience. I think we know a lot of people like this, right? Who are sweating the small stuff. We joke a lot about, should we have that latte whenever our portfolio goes up or down $10,000 in a day, right? Like how can we affect our net worth through our small daily decisions? And to some degree, we can't anymore.
Yeah.
But we still make those small decisions as if we can.
Yep.
So, yeah, no.
It's very insightful.
100% relate to this story, which is why here I am reading it to all of you.
The comments are pretty great. It says, parking is like sex. Why pay for something when I know if I apply myself, I can get it for free?
Wow.
Thank you, George Constanza.
Yeah, this one here says, I think it's more the idea that I hate wasting money no matter how little. So I'd rather park for free farther away than pay for parking or valet. for example, even though I thought I could easily afford it. So apparently parking, per the comments, I'm not the only one with that small hang up.
Yeah, I think it's probably a good thing to start small. Tipping your housekeeper when you stay at a hotel, or tipping the waitstaff extra when you get a drink, or if you're at an all-inclusive, making sure that the people remember you and are prompt when they give you an espresso martini. You know, it's like little stuff like that, right? It makes a difference.
All the stories this week are a little short, but I think we can get good conversations out of them. So we're doing 4 and hopefully good conversations. This next one is once again from Our Fire. This one is, my wife doesn't believe in fire and now wants to spend more. What to do? Hi, everyone. I've comfortably reached a net worth consistent with retire early. My wife doesn't really believe in retiring early and wants to keep working. We are looking at buying a house, but she wants to go above what I would consider a sensible budget, as in 30 to 40% of our net worth on the primary residence. I was wondering what people would suggest. I can't exactly ask her to get a mortgage out for the remainder, and also her job is not reliable, so if I bank on her income for the future, I think there's a significant risk I have to go back to work later. I earn about 7 to 8 times as much as she does. What would people suggest?
Oof, that one's...
This is really rough. Yeah, we had a really easy answer on the first one and a relatable problem on the second one, and now we just hit ourselves with a baseball bat on this third one.
Metaphorically speaking, we're not recording this on video, so you just have to trust us when we say that was metaphorical. This one feels tough, right? Because on one hand, OP has worked hard, he earns a lot of money, he has reached his goal, and he's done, right? Mm-hmm. But OP's wife has different values.
Yep.
She wants to keep working. She thinks, hey, now that we're done saving, we can live a little bit. We could buy a nice house. We can start spending a little bit more money, maybe taking some nice vacations. Like, we don't have to be so money-minded anymore.
Right.
And they are going to have to get on the same page before he quits his job.
I think the real tragedy here is that this conversation is coming at the 11th hour. Right.
Yeah.
It's really important to have talked through this way before you get to this point, and where to have this expectation of, oh, I'm going to quit working this year. And then to have that meet the reality of his partner is not on the same page is going to be a real challenge for him.
Yeah. I was interested in a guy, and I talked to him about my retiring early plans, and he said, I don't think you're going to succeed. And I said, cool, we're not going to date. And that was that. But that's a lot easier when you are just dating and you're not married.
Yeah.
Which it shows the importance of having these conversations early and getting on the same page.
Yeah. Well, yeah, speaking of state of the pod, we're getting really back to our roots here with couples that need to talk to each other instead of Reddit.
Go talk to your partner.
Yeah. This is not something that you can work around. Like he brings up the nonsensical, I'll just have her get a mortgage for the portion that
if she wants a house, she can pay for it.
Yeah. So it's pretty crazy. Also, if he's really earning 8 times as much as she is, her income is inconsequential to the household, and maybe hopefully she's working something that she loves, and that is like where she gets her purpose, her sense of purpose from. So that needs to be, he's not talking about why does the wife want to work at this job that clearly hasn't been moving the needle much on income, but something about it is filling her up, right? Like he needs to understand that part as well. And maybe it's just that she wants to spend heavier than he does. But I think there's probably more to it than that, right?
Yep, definitely. Yeah, and if you do go ahead and pull the plug and then you still don't agree, you're probably going to get divorced.
Yeah.
And then you're not going to be in a great spot.
Yeah. No,
because I think the fire community has been around long enough that we've seen this happen. Turns out that wife really enjoyed being with somebody who earned a lot of money and lived a comfortable lifestyle. And when it was time to retire, said, actually, you know what? No, I would like to keep buying Birkin bags. Peace out, I'm done.
Yeah. And then, yeah, this retire early net worth feels a lot different when it's halved.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's fine if you're the wife who wants to keep working and keep earning and spending money. And that's not so great when now your entire plan is upended and maybe you have to go back to work. And if you had a really high paying job, it might be tricky to get back to that level. And so now you might have to entirely rewrite the plan.
Yeah, that would be rough too, having to go back to work and make like half of what you were making before because you disrupted your flow. Top comment here, real answer, time for a couples therapist, and maybe one with some financial understanding. A high percentage, not sure the exact amount, of marriages end in divorce due to financial incompatibility or financial stress. You need to talk out the decision together and have a goal together. What does your life look like in 30 years, 20, 15, 10, 5? Come to these life goals together and then work backwards on what it takes to get there on an annual, monthly, and maybe even weekly or daily basis. If your picture of what your life looks like in 30 years is different, focus on that first, then 20, then 10, etc. You need to be in a partnership in both what the goals are and in reaching the goals. A neutral outside observer's perspective, parentheses, therapist, may help here. I think that's really good advice.
Yeah.
They should probably start a podcast and give advice.
Yeah, I absolutely think they should start a podcast. It would be sound like they have a lot of things to say about money.
Yeah. No, I felt frozen by this question, but like that's really strong. And I really like that. What's your life look like in 30 years? Can we get an agreement on that? Okay, well, what about 20? What about 15? What about 5, right?
Yeah.
So like, I think that's a really interesting conversation, and maybe even we should probably have that conversation. So like, I think everybody could use that advice and make sure that they're not heading towards a disaster like what OP here hit whenever he realized he hit his fire number and his wife was not on board with fire. Or maybe she was thinking fire was 20 years and then it ended up being 5 years and she was caught off guard, right?
As somebody says, this is very common. One spouse is usually the numbers, logical decision maker. They don't look at the decisions with much feeling, but would rather reference a spreadsheet. The other spouse is often more feelings-based and makes decisions on what would feel better. Both are 100% okay, but it's hard for each of them to see the other point of view.
Yeah.
So if you want to hear some more like psychology and money conversations, definitely recommend the Money for Couples podcast by Ramit Sethi that used to be called the I Will Teach You to Be Rich podcast. Very fascinating as he digs into the like whys of people and like their backgrounds and where they came from on money. And it sounds like they are not in alignment on several of those things.
Yeah. Well, I could totally see whenever you start talking about this in years as opposed to dollars, that someone who had this conversation 5 years ago of I want to be fire, right? And the market's been on a tear, right? So maybe they hit their number and that person who thought this was a 10-year process, all of a sudden it's a 5-year process and they're just not ready, right? Like there's something just didn't settle in with them about retiring in those 5 years when they were planning on doing it in 10 years. I know you freak out whenever we change plans on a day, so I can't imagine what would happen.
Listen, my little brain craves structure and likes knowing what's coming up, okay? But on the other hand, I'm also very spontaneous if I'm not absolutely married to an idea. So my problem stems from if you say, hey, we're going to go do this thing, or you want to go do this thing? And I'm like, yeah. And I look forward to that thing. And you're like, actually, why don't we go do this thing? And I'm like, no, wait. We were going to do that other thing. I was looking forward to that all day. And now you're just pulling the rug on for me and saying, oh, no, we can do that 2 days later.
As always, real life pro tip in the comments.
I'm fine.
I think this time-based conversation is a really good tip, a really interesting conversation that a lot of couples should be having.
Yes, agreed.
This one is from our Ask Men Advice. Is it true that men only want to date a woman who needs them? I'm a single 40-year-old woman who wants to find a partner. I'm financially successful, have my own home, have minimal baggage, no kids, never been married. I find it hard to date because I don't need a man. Am I doing it wrong? I also don't look 40 for whatever that's worth. But I also don't lead with my sexuality or have the desire to participate in hookup culture. give me advice on finding a good man.
I'm just doing the Hunger Games, like kissing the thing, and she's like holding my hand up, like, good luck, girl. Like,
Yeah.
you are looking for top 1% there, and you're going to either get gold diggers or psychopaths who are going to want to break you down to their level. It's going to be hard.
Did you ever encounter someone who struggled with you not needing them financially?
Yeah, no. I got broken up with on more than one occasion when the guy found out how much I made. And I don't know why you're surprised. You are a high school German teacher, and I'm in IT.
Well, that's just your income. That doesn't even go to your saving habits and your financial independent path, right?
Yeah. No, that was just about even like the fact that I brought in a lot of money. Yeah, I did find that men wanted to be the provider and struggled when I didn't need that aspect in a relationship.
That is like super foreign to me because I was always very interested in finding, I don't even know if it was like so much the self-sufficiency, but the like, this is a good partner. Like we can build a life together. This is a resourceful person, right? Like I wanted all of those things in a partner, and never did I want a partner who depended on me to sustain themselves. I was very attracted to successful women, right? Whenever I was dating. But you are right. I do think I don't want to call myself an anomaly, but I'm maybe not even in the majority.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. Which that's kind of sad. But
But I mean, like, why wouldn't you want to be with a partner who has got her own money, right? Like, get you some, girl. Like, yeah, let's go. This is awesome. We can combine efforts and get to levels that maybe neither of us will ever get to on our own, right? Like,
But the only thing I can think of is if you have, as a man, a failing somewhere else, right? Like you're making up for it. Like, okay, hey, maybe I'm not the nicest guy or the best looking guy, but at least I make good white male money, and I can bring that to a relationship. Like I have something to bring, right?
Do you think there also might be something in it about control?
I mean, in the worst cases, right? Like there's certainly the bad cases, right? Of abusive people that want to control, and money is a really good way to control people if you have that over them. But I was trying to think outside of truly despicable people, because I think it's more people than the despicables that feel this way of wanting their partner to want them. So I'm looking for the most generous reasons that someone might feel this way.
Some men do not deserve that generosity. I'll just say that.
Fine.
But I think a lot of it goes back to what American society says men should look like and men should do, and men are always portrayed as the providers, and they're the big strong manly men who come home dirty and tired at the end of the day, and they give the wife the paycheck and say, here wife, I made this, do your best.
But do you even think that's an American thing? I wonder, I feel like that's even more of a foreign thing, because like I'm thinking of like the machismo of like an Italian culture or a Greek culture or really a lot of European cultures, right?
Well, I mean, I think it probably has more to do with what you said earlier, is about like, hey, I have shortcomings in areas of emotional intelligence or making sure that my socks get into the laundry basket, so I will make sure that at least I can bring in money.
Right. That's interesting. I mean, I do not envy women in the dating world trying to find a partner, especially a partner who wants to truly build something like
especially
this.
Somebody who's unfortunately attracted to straight cis men.
Right.
Or I guess just straight men.
That is tough. It's the hardest thing to be attracted to.
Amen. Amen.
Yes, being attracted to straight women is so much better.
So much easier. No offense, guys. I love you. I don't know why, but I do.
All right. Should we wrap it up here?
Indeed.
Well, this has been fun. Like I said, reach out, give us feedback, and go to all the places. We'll talk about it on the outro here.
For those of you who are going on the Fi cruise, we'll see it in just a little bit.
Yeah.
And
this will come out 2 days before the cruise ships out. Yeah.
And for those of you who might not be going to the cruise, we will hopefully see you at Economy in March.
Yeah. Or follow us on Instagram. We'll post some Fi cruise pictures.
Behind the scenes look.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you for listening to the Fire Takes podcast. Wanted to remind you that this is an entertainment podcast. Gwen and I, not financial planners, just opinionated. There are many ways to reach us if you just go to firetakespod.com, including email, Instagram, Reddit, YouTube. You can hear more from Gwen at firymillennials.com. Thanks for joining us. Bye.